Leyenda by Albéniz literally changed my life. So let's back up a bit. It was in middle school when I first wanted to play the guitar. I didn't have a guitar, and there was no guitar in my house, unfortunately. Most of my friends at that time, like their parents, like their mom or dad, had played guitar at one point, and so there was a guitar in the house. My dad played the clarinet, so that didn't help me out. So I asked my mom and dad if they would buy me a guitar. They said no, and they also said save up your money and buy a guitar. It's really tough when you're in middle school to save up money if you don't have a job and you're making like $3 a week in an allowance. And on top of that, I wasn't the most disciplined person as far as saving my money at that time. So instead, what I would do is I would take my $4 and I'd go down to the 7-Eleven, which was a block from my house, and I would buy guitar magazines. And so I would just sit there and just stare at these guitars in the magazines, almost like pinups, like pinup guitars. I would just stare at those pictures. I just loved the way the guitar looked, and not just classical, electric guitars, any kind of guitar. It was just a beautiful thing to me at that time, still is. So I started reading the interviews in these guitar magazines, and one piece that always came up was Eruption by Van Halen. About how this is just such a great piece, groundbreaking, and so on. So I finally either borrowed a tape from a friend, I listened to this. And there are a few times, at least in my life, I don't know about yours, where you have like, my mind is blown. And this was one of them when I first heard Eruption. A lot of times I'd hear, oh, this solo is great. Then you listen to it, it's like, oh, it's good. But for that piece, it was... So that further inspired me to want to play guitar and to save my money. The other guitar solo that really inspired me back then was the solo to Sweet Child of Mine by Guns N' Roses. Slash and Eddie Van Halen are two of my most favorite guitarists, and were really the reason I got into guitar. A year later, I saved up enough money and bought myself an electric guitar and an amp from Sears for $100. And I spent most of my high school trying to copy Van Halen and Guns N' Roses songs. So fast forward, I graduate from high school. We were living in Baton Rouge, Louisiana at the time. My dad takes another job at Hope College in Holland, Michigan. So he informs me that we're all moving up to Michigan. And there's a classical guitar teacher there. For my high school graduation gift, they got me a guitar, a classical guitar. And so this is an Alverez guitar built in 1986. It is a guitar I played for many years, from 1992 up till about 7 or 8 years ago. In fact, my first album that I recorded, I used that guitar. Great guitar, I still have it. And a CD of John Williams' greatest hits. So John Williams, a guitarist. So we move up to Holland, Michigan. And I remember when we got there, I finally listened to that CD. I remember laying down on the ground in our living room because we had a CD player with nice speakers, put in the CD. And I remember, I think the first piece was a tango by Albéniz. And maybe the second piece was another piece of his, but the third piece was Leyenda. And I remember I was just laying on the ground, and all of a sudden that piece started, and I immediately like stood up. I was like, what is this? And so I'm listening intently as this piece is going through. And that one spot where you get that high B, this part, like in that recording, there was another mind-blowing experience. I couldn't understand how only one person was playing this. It sounded like 3 or 4 guitars being played at the same time. But that particular recording, especially that spot, when that bass comes in plus that high B, like I would listen to it with my headphones on. And it's really magical just the way he hit it. He hits that bass note and it kind of buzzes against the frets in a certain way. I'm sure it wasn't done on purpose, but it always struck me as kind of a really cool section in the recording. And then it goes on to that strumming section, and again, it's like, how does one person do this? So I took a beginning classical guitar class at Hope College with Larry Malfroid. So Larry Malfroid is my guitar teacher. I credit him a lot with really getting me going in the classical guitar. And so I remember one day in class, before class had started, I raised my hand. He's like, yes, Rob. I said, can you play the song Leyenda? And so he sat down and he started playing it. And I was like, I would like to learn that song. But I didn't have the technique at all to really learn at that point. I was just so impressed that he could play this piece, which to me at that time, I had yet to see someone play it like on a video. This is pre-YouTube, Instagram, places like that where you can see easily videos. So I had yet to actually see someone play this piece in person. And so it was just amazing watching him play and have all those different voices come out. And it was just on one guitar. I told you that this song changed my life. How did it change my life? So at the time in college, I only played electric guitar and I had just started playing classical guitar. But listening to that song inspired me to further explore classical guitar music. And I decided to become a music major, which then in turn, I started writing music. I graduated with my music degree, went on to grad school, became a teacher, started arranging, composing, all of this stuff that I'm doing right now because of me being inspired by that piece to really study the classical guitar. If I had not heard that piece, I don't know what I'd be doing. At the time when I switched my major to music, I was a psychology major and I had taken a couple years of psychology classes, but I didn't really have a passion for it. I just found it very interesting. So who knows what I'd be doing right now if I had never heard that piece. So Eddie Van Halen and Slash were my two big guitar heroes back in high school. And they still are. I still love listening to both of them. And in fact, I recently got this guitar. So this is a replica of his Frankenstrat guitar. And it sounds great. Really, the only reason I got this is because of my original inspiration by Eddie Van Halen started this whole process going.